And I think we'll take a couple of questions.
Willie Cumming from the National Inventory of Architectural Heritage. It's maybe less a question but a comment that some people may wish to come back on. Firstly, just to say, in relation to the inventory, we are going to continue, and we will be doing Dublin City. Our focus up for the last 10 years has been on covering the rest of the country, but we will get that completed this year, and all our focus is going to be on Dublin City from next year on. But we have already started recording, and I hope we will be publishing Dublin 1 in 2014. So that's just as an update. Just a more philosophical question, though, is in relation to the idea of the North Georgian core and the South Georgian core. And I kind of worry about that a little bit, because by doing, I think by focusing exclusively on the North and the South and defining it in the way we are doing, is we're missing the fact that the whole pattern of the city was actually developed in the Georgian period. So you have the Phoenix Park at one end, you have the docks down at the other end, both primarily Georgian interventions. Even the Bull Island is a result of the building of the docks, and then you have the two canals. So, like, there is a much more complex Georgian city that we're looking at, and I think just to focus on the North and the South Georgian core misses the point.
Would you like one of the panellists to answer that?
That's a comment that, I mean, it's come up from several people, and maybe that's a comment that people may wish to come back on.
I just say something very brief on that. I think if we're very honest about the opportunities and challenges of the North Georgian core and the South Georgian core, that is the quickest way to unify them. And I think to some degree the constant fear of setting up an artificial debate between the North and South Georgian core in some way is an avoidance tactics at times for us to look honestly. And they're different. And hopefully, 5, 10, 20 years, they'll both be wonderful places to live.
Okay, could we have another question?
Hi there. Yes, I'm John MacDonald from Griffith College. I just wanted to ask the panel if you thought there was a place in Dublin for a programme like they had in Harlem, where you bought a building for $1, you promised to live in it for 20 years, and you agreed to spend $100,000 on it. Is there anything that could happen like that here? And Karen, I just wanted to say, really enjoyed your talk, but I can't believe you left out Aldeburgh House.
Sorry, I didn't
Can't believe you left out Aldeburgh House. Aldeburgh House. Yeah. But anyway,
a bit far from my walking, my 4-minute walking group. But yes, we worry and care about Aldeburgh House, and the council know about that too.
Okay.
Which of the panel would like to take that question about, is there room, an opportunity in the city to buy a building for $1? €1. Karine?
There was an article in the Irish Times last year about some city in eastern Germany where they gave buildings to young artist collectives and whatever to mine them. And I would think that, so there was an article in the Irish Times last year that was focusing on some city in East Germany where there was a very high level of vacancy, and young people were groups, collectives, art collectives and the like, were given buildings to look after and to mind within strict parameters. And, it's not the worst of ideas. And who said that vacancy was the enemy of, somebody today said that vacancy was the enemy of buildings.
Maybe we need somebody from NAM on the panel to kind of have a proper discussion about that. But Nikki, do you want to say something with reference to number 43 Ainger Street?
Well, I suppose starting on today, I think people have trouble engaging with properties when they're closed up over time. And when you actually get the opportunity to meet an owner of a building and actually walk through the worst of a wreck of a building and actually describe to them what is important about it, it tends to turn the thing around, and they buy into the thing. The problem is that we don't really know the level of vacancy we have in streets, and we don't know maybe the significance of buildings. And the Angel Street study that Ali refers to is a study that we've done over the last few years in City Architects, and it identified vacancy in a street and maybe the importance of capturing a building like number 43 Angel Street, and how it might actually start to tell the story for a street and its significance, and become a place where people can exchange ideas. And buildings can be brought back over time. They don't all have to be done up and being pristine. You can take the scary bits out of it, and people can actually start to reuse or reinactivate a ground floor, and it grows from there. And I think that's an important concept in conservation, that maybe closing them up indefinitely actually is the worst thing you can do.
I suppose the reference to the building on Angel Street is possibly that kind of scheme would inevitably need to start with publicly owned buildings, because it would be very difficult to persuade private owners to let see their property for €1. Okay, another question. I have a gentleman at the back. Yes?
Thanks, Ali. Kieran Cuff, Dublin Institute of Technology. It's a question for Leslie Moore. First of all, I'm delighted that conservation plans are being developed for some of our significant parks in Dublin City. And I'm delighted that cafes or coffee shops are going into some of them. I'd even encourage one in Merrion Square. I don't know if that's too controversial. But what's amazing about today is that we have fantastic representation from many different fields. But looking at the drawing behind you there, you have the square, Parnell Square, you have the buildings around it, and we have people from City Architects, we have planners from the City Council, and we have yourself, Leslie, representing parks. But I think the missing element may well be the roads and the streets, because I think the connectivity between some of our significant parks and the surroundings is crucial. The Minister alluded to that earlier when he mentioned the new design manual for urban streets and roads. But if you take the west side of Parnell Square, it's like a racetrack, like a Formula One track, the speed that the traffic gets to at the top. And if there could be some wider footpaths and traffic calming to make it easier to get across the street. The same with Merrion Square. You can't get from the National Gallery into the square. The pedestrian crossings are at the end. Or the classic to end up is the Oscar Wilde statue. Tourists pause outside the Oscar Wilde house. They look across at the Oscar Wilde statue. They're a bit concerned about which direction the traffic is coming from, and they make a dash. They make a dash across the street because there's no pedestrian crossing bringing you straight across to the park. So it's simply a plea, Les, that you might involve roads and traffic in the conservation plans to tease out how to improve the connectivity between our parks and the surrounding urban structure.
Thank you. Les, are we... Okay. But I'm going to take that as a question, Les. Are we involving the Roads and Traffic Department in our conservation plans?
Well, we've some very good people in our engineering department in the traffic section, and they've done a lot of work in terms of detailing crossings over to some of our squares, and certainly we would involve them in any of these studies, because if we can't get people safely into these parks, it's a bit of we're not achieving very much. But I know a lot of the squares have been subject to bus parking, which Karen has identified as a problem on Merrion Square as well. So there are issues around traffic and access, and all those issues need to be addressed.
And Corinne did make that point very forcibly in her presentation about fragmentation being caused by poor quality public realm. Sorry to harp on about the Parnell Square Cultural Quarter, but that is a very strong aspect of that project. Now we've one last question, and you know who you are, because you have the mic.
Indeed I do. Thank you, Ali. Ruan McCone again. I just want to pick up on actually 2 points that was raised both by Karen and also by Paul. Paul mentioned that listed buildings are actually a deterrent, that estate agents are telling people to avoid them in terms of the cost implications. And it seems to me that the building that Karen showed, which she referred to as being Standard of Calcutta. That building, in 2005, actually, there was a fire in that building. Now, the building is actually of great historic significance insofar as it was once the home of the prominent MP Tiger Tim Healy, as well as the paraplegic, the marvellous Mr. Kavanagh. The question is essentially this. I understand that there were complaints in the recent rehabilitation of that building into the current standard and the works that have been going on, yet it doesn't appear that there's enforcement having taken place, at least to the satisfaction of what Karen was pointing out. On the other hand, with reference to the development levies, and specifically the Metro North levy, I find it quite interesting that when the Lewis was built out through Ranelagh, there was no, as far as I understand, there were no special contribution levies. Yet when the Metro North is not built through the north side, there are contribution levies on top of the standard, charges being sought. And I just want to put this question to the panel. In view of the fact that it seems that is there a danger, is there an incentive for non-compliant operators to have an economic benefit which is then to the detriment of the rest of society over those who want to be legally compliant? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling to actually
Ali,
communicate that question
Ali,
to the panel.
No,
you said a lot, Ruan, but what is your precise question?
The exact question is this, is that if there is not enforcement in terms of...
Are we incentivising dereliction?
Are we incentivising bad practice, and also by having levies such as the Metro North levy for something that isn't being built, and having levies for buildings that are listed, are we adding penalties upon penalties that effectively amount to restoration taxes for those who would like to be compliant? That's all.
Okay. Paul?
I will make a comment on the development levy Metro North because I'm not sufficiently versed in that. But on your question, does insufficient enforcement incentivise bad development? Yes. That's a simple answer. Yes.
Yes, it does.
And the city has a bigger responsibility and a bigger job. Yes.
We're not being flippant here. There are, we have regular, challenging, and in-depth conversations about this in the City Council. And just to point out, there is an initiative at the moment, which some members of the audience have been party to developing, which is the proposal that in the forthcoming budget there's a provision for a levy or a tax on vacant lands, vacant sites in the city. It's to actually, it is pushing the slightly open door in that it's easy, it's the least complex issue to approach in that. So we are, part of the discussion in developing that proposal was very much around dereliction, but we felt let's start with one thing, let's see if we can get a vacant tax levy, a vacant site levy imposed on sites. So we'll see how that goes. And that's an initiative of the Lord Mayor. So thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of our Q&A, and sorry we didn't have more time, but they were 5 very, very interesting presentations. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did.